What's up? It's JJ from Inside the Borough here. Gonna give you our AAC predictions for the AAC tournament coming up starting this Wednesday. And so much is at stake. The winner of this tournament is going to get an automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. So that's absolutely huge. A lot of the seasons are going to reset for this teams, and only one team is automatically in with their at-large, which is FAU, obviously. But other than that, so much is at stake for these other teams. We're going to find out if this is a 2-bid league or if this is a 1-bid league. And so much is at stake here. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Let's give you our predictions for the AAC tournament. So starting out with our first matchup, which is on Wednesday, we have Rice and Wichita State. Now, we saw this matchup last week, and Wichita State has proven this is a good matchup for them. They beat Rice by 21, so that is huge. And, Wichita State, I'm a huge fan of their team. Colby Rogers, obviously, is their primary three-point sniper. He's a really good player, and, I'm not a huge fan of Rice's Evie. I think he's a little bit inconsistent, as well as Fiedler, who lacks some defensive traits. So I do think Wichita State wins this game and moves on to the second round. And it's mostly because of how these two teams matched up. Wichita State, a fairly slower team, as well as Rice, who's kind of towards the faster end. And in those matchups, you gotta favor the slower teams, as they're able to slow down the teams that are faster. Now moving on to our next Wednesday game, we have UTSA and Temple. I am a huge fan of this UTSA Roadrunners team. Jordan Ivy Curry, I love how he plays the game. He's their sixth man. He's great from three. He's just amazing inside, such a cerebral player. And, his footwork inside the lane is spectacular. And Christian Tucker as well. He's going to help out. PJ Carter, he's going to knock down some threes. Huge fan of this UTSA team. I think they move on. I like the Roadrunners to beat Temple. Up next, we're going to move on to Thursday's game. And we have Tulsa versus East Carolina. Now, you always want to pick the hot teams in this moment. Tulsa's hot. I believe they're coming off a 3-game win streak. They just beat a nationally ranked USF team. So Tulsa is hot. That's what you look for in March. You look for the hot teams. PJ Haggerty, such a good player. He's able to cause contact, get to the line whenever he wants. Watch out for him. He's going to make a name for himself in this tournament. Tulsa beats ECU. Up next, we have Memphis and Wichita State. And Memphis did sweep Wichita State this season. Memphis is, they're still playing good. Before this Saturday, they're on a 3-game win streak, and playing in the Borough is such a hard place to play. No other AAC team beat FAU in the Borough. You can't blame them for losing by 8-point single digits to FAU in the Borough in a, raucous environment. So, I do like Memphis right now. I still think they're kind of hot. They're playing for their lives here. David Jones and Naquan Tomlin. Two superstars, two transfers that have made immediate impacts for this Tigers team. And Wichita State in their last game, while Memphis was home, Memphis came back from down 12 points with 3 minutes left. They really figured out that they should press Wichita, which is something that the Shockers struggle against. I think the Tigers bring their A game here, and I like them to beat the Shockers. Up next, we had Tulane and North Texas, and we just saw this matchup last week. North Texas pretty much, beat them. They were up double digits the entire game. I really like Jason Edwards. He is just the most reliable, consistent player you could have. Super smart, and his ball handling ability. He can get past any defender with his ball handling ability. Bugs as well. Bugs can shoot from anywhere and make them. As well as Aaron Scott, who is someone I think is super underrated. Reuben Jones, huge piece to this team. And North Texas they're going to make you score. They're one of the best defensive teams in the country. And they're playing faster. Slower than most years. They're 362 in time-adjusted speed, which means they are the second slowest team in the country. That is going to hurt Tulane. North Texas is going to keep the possession until under 10 on the shot clock. Tulane struggles against that. I'm sure Kevin Cross can put up a great showing against North Texas, maybe surprise some people, but I do like the Mean Green to move on. Up next, we have SMU and UTSA. We saw this matchup, I believe, Wednesday of last week, and UTSA went into Dallas and won. UTSA is a team that I think is the most underrated team in this conference. SMU is super cold. They just blew a 15-point lead yesterday to UAB to lose. They're cold. The Mustangs are cold. However, the home court advantage is going to help them because they're only 8 minutes away from their campus. Their basketball arena is 8 minutes away from the basketball arena in Irvine, Texas, where they play. They're going to have home court advantage, as well as UTSA. It's only about a 2.5-hour drive from San Antonio to Irving. So I expect it to be like 70-30 for SMU. But UTSA is going to have some fans. UTSA beat SMU in Dallas. I like UTSA here to win. And they're kind of my Cinderella upset team, 14 seed. Moving on to the Elite Eight. Tulsa and South Florida. We saw this matchup 2 days ago. Tulsa won. That was a game where USF couldn't make anything in the second half. But I still am just such a fan of this team. What I think Amir Abdul-Rahim is doing is just spectacular, coming out of Kennesaw State and bringing over some huge pieces like Selton Miguel, Chris Youngblood, Kason Pryor, Kobe Knox, Jaden Reed. This team is playing. This team's talent-wise, they're able to make some noise in the NCAA tournament, and I think they get revenge. Chris Youngblood has been shooting lights out from 3, and when he's playing good, I think they can win that game. In that last game, he only had 12 versus Tulsa, I think it was. Not a great second half, but I like the Bulls to move on. Up next, we have Memphis and UAB. This is a game that we just saw, and Memphis came back by 16 in the second half to overcome UAB and beat them. And here's the thing. UAB is kind of cold. They're playing like they did just beat SMU at home. They came back by 15, which is huge. But they lost to Wichita State. They lost to Rice in the last week. They lost to Memphis. Like, they've lost, I believe, 4 of the last 5, maybe 3 of the last 4. This is not a bad matchup for the Tigers. Yaxel Lenenberg, that's someone who UAB wants to see, because Malcolm Dandridge is hurt, Memphis' center. But even with Lenenberg, they were able to stop him in the second half with putting Jordan on him. So I like the Tigers to beat UAB. Remember, the Tigers have to win this tournament to be in March Madness. Up next, we have Florida Atlantic versus North Texas. Florida Atlantic is playing some of the best basketball in March. They're on a 3-game win streak. They just beat North Texas, and they beat North Texas in Denton. Granted, this tournament is only like 30 minutes away from Denton, but I expect the FAU faithful to be out there, to be cheering on the Owls. This matchup kind of favors FAU in a sense because North Texas, we've seen them both times not be able to stop, not be able to stop Jarnell Davis. Jarnell Davis had like 28 in the first game, 29 in the second. Florida Atlantic, number 14 team in adjusted offense. They're right in the middle in adjusted tempo, which is where you want to be at 160. North Texas as well. They're super slow. FAU is kind of doing well against slow teams as their half-court defense has kind of improved when they bring Vlad when they don't put Vlad in drop coverage, which we've seen them not do. I'm going to go with Florida Atlantic. Jarnell Davis, Elijah Martin have too much firepower for this North Texas team. But watch out for John Buggs if he has a game from the perimeter and FAU isn't able to defend him. I think North Texas can win. UTSA and Charlotte, not much to say here. Charlotte is super slow. They're 350 in adjusted time. That's like the 10th slowest team in the country. UTSA is super fast. I favor the slower teams. Lucai Patterson, great player. Charlotte wins this game. Charlotte swept UTSA this year. I like Charlotte to win in that game. And then next we have USF and Memphis. We saw this game. USF had a huge second half and came back. Now, I favor this game for USF because Memphis, what their main thing to do is shut down the guards and make the bigs get inside and play well. And if they do that with Keyshawn Pryor is bigger than Jordan. Sam Hines is bigger than Jordan. Corey Walker is bigger than Jordan. USF wins this game. USF makes it to the finals. Chris Youngblood is going to go off. And Selton Miguel was the biggest piece in that second half to propel the Bulls to victory. He's been their best player the last few weeks. The offense should be run through him. Huge fan of his game. Selton Miguel propels his team to victory. FAU and Charlotte. We saw this matchup last time, and FAU dig themselves into such a big hole. FAU is down huge. They were down like 41-24 at half. And when you're down that much, it's hard to come back. And when they were down that much, they cut it to 2. They tied it up in the second half. They just couldn't get over that hump. And I feel like FAU is sleeping on Charlotte at the point because at the time they played, Charlotte was like 6-7. And that was FAU's second true road game of the season. So I feel like FAU is kind of sleeping on Charlotte. Then Lucai Patterson went off. But again, FAU tends to play well against slower teams because their half-court defense has really improved this season. I don't favor them in transition games where the other team is super fast. And FAU figured something out in that second half versus Charlotte, which was to ride with Jarnell Davis and give him the ball at the top of the key. Let him get in ISO, let him drive. FAU wins that game. And then we do have a championship versus USF and FAU. I believe no matter what happens in this game, both the teams are in. USF, phenomenal season. They'd have 2 conference losses at this point. FAU, they should be in no matter what, with the wins over Butler, A&M, Arizona, Virginia Tech, and they could have 2 more tournament team wins in Butler, in Bryant, who could win their tournament, and Charleston, who I believe is going to win their tournament as well. Florida Atlantic, USF, I believe both these teams are already in at this point, even though the committee might, the committee might make USF win to be in. But with that being said, I do like how FAU played in the second half of these two teams' last match. FAU started a full court press, which USF couldn't figure out around. FAU would bring a trap of both Boyd and Martin on Miguel, and really there was a bunch of jump balls in that second half because FAU was really good in causing pressure, and that's something they're good at. And I feel like this game could be a shootout of a game, and FAU knows how to win shootouts. They have great coaching in Coach Justin May, Kyle Church, and Todd Abernathy. So I really think that in a shootout of a game, FAU knows how to win. We saw it versus UTSA. That game went to overtime. We saw it versus Arizona. We saw it versus North Texas the first time. We saw it versus Wichita State, which went to overtime. FAU knows how to win these close games. They've been in these situations before. FAU is your champion. So that is our predictions for this tournament. Please let me know your thoughts down below. And thank you guys for watching. See you guys in the next one. And so long. Go out.